and wish you all a happy morning. Today, in this live session, we are going to learn about the auxins. Yeah, and before that, let me recap the yesterday's session. So, what and all we studied yesterday, and what was the live session yesterday about the plant hormones. And I have given an introduction about the plant hormones, that how do the plants control and coordinate, and what are the essential hormones are required for the plant growth, starting from the root to the tip of the stem, and what are the hormones which are essential for the fruit production, flower production, and then what is the seed covering, embryo seed covering, everything we have seen yesterday. And today in this live session we are going to see about the auxins. And before starting the auxins, let me give an introduction about the plant hormones. A recap, a short recap. Okay, those who are new to my channel, Fancy Artist. So a short recap is given for them in the plant hormones. So these plant hormones are generally called the phytohormones. Why do they call phytohormones? The phytohormones, because phyto, the term phyto means what? It's nothing but it's related to the plants. It's related to the plants. It's the green pigments, we can say. So the plants only have different types of pigments, namely green, and depending upon the different type, there is a variety of pigments. They will be having yellow color, they will be having green, they will be having blue, purple, and different colors are there. So these colors are mainly due to the pigments present in the leaf. So those pigments are nothing but the chlorophyll pigments. So there are variety of chlorophyll pigments available in plants. That's why that pigment only gives color to the plants. So all these details you will be learning in your higher classes about the chlorophyll and its types. And now today in this level, in the class 10 level, you can just know what is the phytohormone and what are their functions and how do they respond, how do they control and coordinate in plants. Okay, so actually during the nervous system I explained you that hormones are nothing but the chemical substances. They are the substances which are produced by the endocrine glands, I said. Similarly, in plants also, these endocrine glands are there. So these endocrine glands are the ones going to produce the chemical substances. In turn, they can also called as chemical messengers. So they are nothing but the hormones, phytohormones, and they are going to do control and coordination in the plants. Okay, and they are produced by the plants itself, plants endocrine gland itself. Okay, now, and these phytohormones, they will not stay at one place because plant has to grow from the root to the stem. Yes, from the root to the stem it has to grow. How it has to grow? So starting from the root, okay, and it's going to give rise to the shoot system, and from the shoot you will be having the leaves and the bud. Yes, and then finally the shoot system is going to grow further. So from the root towards the shoot, towards to the tip of the shoot, we can say. So it needs some chemicals. So those chemicals are the one going to be produced by the plants itself. Yeah, so they are nothing but the phytohormones. So they have to be transported from one place to another. That's what I get, transported to different parts of the plants to perform various functions. Yes, so this is about the hormones recap session. So the hormones which are produced at one place has to be transported to another place for various function, to perform various function, namely for growth, to reproduce, yeah, to respire. So we can say so many functions. Like animals, plants also do many functions. They will also move. The movement in plants is nothing but the growth. They cannot move from one place to another, but the movement in plants is nothing but the growth of the shoot towards the upward okay, upward direction, and whereas the root towards the ground, towards the gravity. Okay, so this is about the movement in plants. Okay, now, so in this session we are going to see about the next, what are the functions of the hormones. So these hormones are nothing but the organic molecules, because they are produced in the living organism, the plant. Okay, so the hormones in the plants are the organic molecules, and they will be produced only in low concentration. Whenever it is necessary, the concentration will increase. Yeah, and then these hormones, they are very essential for the various functions. As I said now, they are necessary for the morphological function, physiological function, and also the biochemical function. So they will perform all these three: morphological, physiological, and biochemical responses are mainly mediated by the hormones. Okay, now, and I told you there are various hormones which are secreted by the hormones. There are various hormones secreted by the plants. So what are they? They are nothing but the auxins. So the auxins and the cytokinins and the gibberellins. So these are the three hormones. They are going to promote the plant growth: auxins, cytokinins, and the gibberellins. And then there are other two hormones which are nothing but the abscisic acid ABA and ethylene. So this ABA and ethylene, these two hormones will promote the inhibition of plant growth. Okay, so what are the five hormones we see in the plants? They are the auxins, the cytokinins, and the gibberellins, and then the ethylene and the abscisic acid. Okay, so these auxins, cytokinins, and the gibberellins, these are the three hormones which is going to promote plant growth. Okay, and then this ethylene and abscisic acid are the two which is going to inhibit the plant growth. So understood the plant hormones in general, in outline of the plant hormones. What are they? Auxins, cytokinins, and the plant gibberellins. They promote the plant growth, whereas the ethylene, abscisic acid, they inhibit the plant growth. Clear? So these are the five hormones, and today in this session we are going to see about the auxins. What is the auxin? The auxin is the one, we can say it is the one meant for the growth, both the stem as well as the root, we can say. This one meant for the stem as well as root growth, elongation process. So it is the first hormone, it was the first hormone discovered. Okay, and this hormone is meant for the growth of the stem and root, growth of the stem and the root. Okay, and then who introduced this auxins? This is the growth hormone in plant, no? Who introduced this auxins? It was introduced by the Koch and Hagen Smith. Koch and Hagen Smith. Okay, and then where it is produced in the plant? At the tip. It is produced at the tip of the stem and the roots. So this is the auxin introduction. It is the first hormone produced by the plants, and it's discovered also, and then it is introduced by the scientist the Koch and Hagen, and then it was where it was found. When it was discovered, it was found at the tip of the stems and the roots. Okay, so that only the stem will, the shoot system will grow, elongate, develop, and similarly the roots also. It's mainly because of auxins. Okay, so we can simply say that auxins means to grow. Okay, now this auxin, how it was found? That auxins play a major role in plants. It was found by the Wendt, who was the scientist, who was the Dutch biologist, was the one who found that plants, they have a special hormone for their growth. in the stem and the root. This was found by through experimental proof by Wendt. He was the biologist, belonged to Dutch. And then how he found, he did an experiment. How he did an experiment. He selected the seed like this. He selected the seed and he found that is first there is a growth of the seed like plumule and the radicle. The plumule is the shoot system and the radicle is the root system. So now this developing the plumule, no, it will be having a outer covering called the coleoptile. This is the embryonic covering, we can say. So this embryonic covering is known as the coleoptile, and it is responsible for the shoot system development. Okay, now what, cut the tip of the coleoptile. He cut the tip of the and he observed the growth of the seed. Further development is there, or he observed for some days, and he came to the result that there is no development, there is no growth in that tip, because he had cut the coleoptile tip from that embryonic shoot covering. Okay, so now next what he did, he placed that cut the agar block. Agar is the block which is being used in the laboratories, in the plant as well as the animal laboratories. There it is used for as a block. Agar, it has been artificially produced and also naturally it is also available. So what Wendt did is a block. He placed the cut tip on the agar block and observed any growth in this tip, cut tip. He came to the conclusion again there was no growth, and finally he removed that tip and he placed that on the cut end of the coleoptile. So he cut no here, that on that he placed the agar block and he removed this tip also from that. Then he observed for some days, is there any is there any growth? Is there any growth? He found. But slowly there was the growth of this tip, the cut tip. What is the reason behind that? He found there was some chemicals which has been diffused into the coleoptile. So that chemicals only induced the growth of the coleoptile further. So it started developing further. Okay, so what does he found? It was nothing but the auxin. Wendt found that it was nothing but the auxin, which is the one initiated the growth by diffusion of the chemical substances. So auxins are the chemical substances. So it is nothing but to grow. Auxin means to grow. Understood? So this is the experiment done by Wendt, and from this experiment only Wendt found that there was some chemical hormones which is responsible for the development in the tip of the stem. Okay, so from this they found it is nothing but auxins. Auxins are the hormones which is very essential for the growth. So auxins means to grow. Okay, and in this session we have studied about the introduction, introduction part, and what are the phytohormones, how do they control and coordinate, because it's mainly by the chemical substances produced by the plants. They are nothing but the phytohormones, and then they are transported to different parts of the plants to perform various functions. So what are the various functions? We all know that it's nothing but the growth, reproduce, and then the respire and expire. Even we can also say transpiration is nothing but the expiration. So all those details, all those metabolic functions are mainly mediated by the phytohormones. Okay, now and then we studied about the organic molecules. The hormones are the organic molecules. We studied about that, and they will be extremely at low concentration in the initial stage, and whenever there is necessary for them, they will increase their concentration. And what are the functions of the hormones in the plants? Mainly they will play the morphological role, that is physical appearances, structure appearances, and then physiological. What are the physiological? The nutrition, the respiration, like that. And then all the biochemical responses, like glycolysis, like photosynthesis, like that, photorespiration, like that. So all those functions, responses need the phytohormones. And what are those hormones? We are telling that phytohormones means what are they? So there are 5 different types of hormones in plants. They are nothing but the auxins, they are the cytokinins, they are the gibberellins, and the abscisic acid and ethylene. So in this, the auxins, cytokinins, and gibberellins, they are the plant growth promoting hormones. They promote only the plant growth, auxins, cytokines, and gibberellins. And then this ethylene and the abscisic acid, they will inhibit the plant growth. Whenever there is no need of the plant growth, there is a need for this flower production, fruit production. At that time, this abscisic acid and ethylene will come and play the role. Okay. So next is, we have seen about the auxins in this live session. So what are the auxins? Auxins are the first hormone discovered and mainly introduced by the two scientists Koch and Hagen, and then produced at the tip of the stem and the roots. And then it was mainly found by the Wentz experimented auxins or the growth hormones by his experiment. What he did, he selected one seed and he germinated, and he found the outer covering of the seed is the very essential. At the tip of that seed is very essential for this discovery. So what he did, he cut the tip of the coleoptile, that is outer covering of the developing embryo. So shoot. So what happened? What is he did? He cut the tip and found whether any growth is there. No, there is no growth. And again he placed that cut the tip on the agar block. This tip is growing. No, there is no growth. And what else he did? He placed he removed the tip again, this top portion, the tip, and placed the agar block alone on the that is on the coleoptile, remaining coleoptile, and found whether any growth is there. And there was the growth. From this he found that he kept this cut tip on the agar block. No, there was the diffusion of the chemical substances into the agar block, and they were left over on the agar block. When he placed this agar block on the coleoptile, what happened? The diffused chemical substances, they started diffusing into this cut part of the coleoptile, and then what happened? The plant started growing from that tip. So from this he found there was the chemical substances which has been transferred from this cut tip to the agar block, and from the agar block to the coleoptile, so that the plant started growing its shoot system. So from this he found that those chemical substances are nothing but the auxins which are essential for their growth. So auxin means to grow. Hope you understood all these concepts. Very simple concept only I have selected for today's session. Auxins, plant hormone, which is meant for growth of the stem and the roots. Yeah. Hope you would enjoy all the concepts in my live session. So if you liked this live session, please share among your friends, those who are doing class 10. And then you can also subscribe to my channel for upcoming live sessions on different topics of class 10 science. Thank you. Wish you all the best for your upcoming examination. We'll see you in the next live session.